he tweeted me. And so right now, as far as we don't have Darren, I think as far as David has emailed me that he just, have some further arrangements in the evening and he really wants to join them. So we can just, can we let him speak the very first?
Okay.
If you don't mind. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hi, David. Can you hear us?
I can indeed. Can you hear me okay as well?
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I've just, as far as right now, we don't have Darren, right? Just, he hasn't yet joined our session. I believe we just, can pass everything to you because I remember you want to join something in the evening. So, yeah. So, basically,
if that's okay. I mean, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Alex.
So, just let me know.
I don't know whether he's a good choice, personally.
How's it going, Matt? Are you keeping well in your garden shed there?
I am, yeah. I've already said that, yeah, it's either a garden shed or a sauna, depending on which way you look.
Dual purpose, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, guys, I believe actually we've already added to our main page on our events website, and we are ready to go. And so, dear listeners, well, I'm super excited because we are moving to the very last section of our event, and I want to introduce David Bain to you, who is going to take the floor right now. And David, he's well, actually, first of all, David has his own podcast, and it's called Digital Marketing Radio. And tomorrow, he's going to. Thursday, yeah? Thursday. I'm sorry for just, it's just such a mess in my head right now. So on Thursday, guys, we are going to share with you a link and remind about that, that you just, you can't miss that because David, he was able to just, to brought together more than 100 excellent digital marketing experts, the very best influencers, top-notch industry leaders, and that's going to be organized like a short tips sessions that will be delivered by each speaker. So you're going, in the end, what you're going to have more than 100 actionable tips that you can just start implementing in 2007. I'm sorry, 2017. I'm sorry, living back in history. And so, David, we'll talk today about 5 steps from podcasting to hosting your own online live event. And as you've already just, as I've already mentioned, he's really experienced in that. So, David, go ahead. Thank you very much for being with us today. And so you're very welcome.
Thanks so much for asking me on, Alex. It's absolutely superb to be here. You've pulled together such an incredible group of digital marketers yourself. So congratulations on that. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, my talk's going to be 5 steps from podcasting to hosting your own online live event. So just a little bit about me, first of all. So I'm actually head of inbound for Calibre. That's calibri.com, and also founder and host of digitalmarketingradio.com. So that's my background. But in terms of what I'm going to be talking about today, so it's about why should SEOs, it's about podcasting to online events. But the first question I want to ask is, why should SEOs know about podcasting and online events? Because everyone that you've had on so far, Alex, has been talking about SEO or technical type stuff as well, as well as general digital marketing stuff. And this maybe seems a little bit more fluffy than traditional SEO. But I just want to tie everything together if I can, and say that I reckon that SEOs should know a lot about this because SEO has moved on so much over the last few years. Back 10 years ago or so, you could easily do things like, of course, publishing 400-word articles and doing horrible things like spinning and then building any old links you want to it. But SEO is so much more than that nowadays. And it's also so much more about just conducting SEO on your own website as well. So what is it about? Well, to me, it's also about things like optimizing for YouTube, because YouTube's, of course, the second biggest search engine in the world, as many people say at the moment. So I've got a video up there. If you search for digital marketing, it's had about 130 odd thousand views, and it's constantly on the first page of YouTube. And also, if you search the podcast app on iTunes, again, digital marketing radio is quite near the top of there. And can you imagine how difficult it actually would be to optimize Google and get like onto the first page of Google for digital marketing? I know maybe a couple of people have done that, maybe a couple of agencies have done that, but generally that is really, really difficult to do. So there are other SEO type opportunities out there. There are other ways of delivering content, and so that's why I've moved on to audio content and video content and producing online events as a way of publishing content and also approaching SEO as well. So I'm going to be talking about the 5 steps from podcasting to hosting your own online live event. So starting off with pre-recorded audio. So what I'm suggesting here is that to actually record about 10 to 20 episodes just on audio at the moment for the first 10 to 20 episodes. Step 2, as live audio. So then integrating things into that. So your intros and outros are all part of the same audio. Step 3, pre-recorded video. Step 4, live video. And then step 5, host your own on live events. So let's go into exactly, what those steps are and how I recommend getting started. So step 1, pre-recorded audio. So I reckon you should start with a pre-recorded audio podcast. So get comfortable with your own voice, first of all, and recording hopefully reasonable quality audio. So what do I recommend for that? Well, here are some basic things just to get started. There are a couple of microphones there that are dynamic microphones, which means that there's a very close point to the microphone that is the ideal point that you should be speaking at. So you should be speaking at between 3 and 6 inches away from the microphone. You should also use a microphone windshield. Now, these 2 microphones that I've recommended here come in roughly at the £50 mark, so not too expensive at all. Samsung Q2U and the ATR 2100, depending on whether you're in the States or the UK or what microphone you can get hold of there. Always use a microphone windshield as well, or windscreen, however you want to call it, and that will prevent popping noises on your microphone. And then also use a table folding spring stand as well, because that'll get the microphone right next to your mouth. The kind of little stands that you get with microphones generally are pretty poor. And to get started, once you've got your equipment, decide on a single episode topic with a friend or colleague, and then just record 2 episodes. Don't even think about things like naming a show or anything tactical at all like that. All you're looking to do at this stage is just have a decent conversation with a friend over Skype and record it. Nothing more than that at all. Just decide on a topic and start talking away. It's a great first way to get started with things. This is a great bit of software to actually use. VoIP call recording, and that works with Skype. So both are free. VoIP call recording is free as well. There's a paid version, but the free version will actually be fine for you getting started there. And use this bit of software here as well called Audacity. Now, Audacity will let you edit your audio. So you're recording your audio using VoIP call recording and Skype, and then after you've got your recording, which will be in MP3 format, then you're going to save that using Audacity and actually upload it or import it into Audacity there. So just briefly going through Audacity here, just to get you comfortable with getting started. Don't worry about getting things absolutely exact here and all the different things going on in this bit of software. The key thing is just get a reasonable bit of audio out there, get it published, and get comfortable with doing that there. So you import your audio there as well. once you've imported it, the two things that you want to do with it that you can hear in this, see on the screen here is cutting it and then compressing it. So cutting it is just like cutting the front and the end of the bit of audio just before your proper intro. So that's the key things that you want to do with it. Just highlight it and press File Cut to be able to do that there. And moving on to the next stage in the process, which is the compressor there. So it's Effect and then Compressor. And then when you do that, you also want to select the button there that says Compress to Peaks. And if you do that, it'll make it nice and loud, a decent volume. There's nothing worse than a podcast being too soft and turning up your iPhone or whatever device you're listening to it on and not being able to hear everything correctly. So get it to a decent volume there, and you can do that by compressing the audio. And once you do that, all you do is you file, export the audio, and you save it as an MP3. So you're exporting it as an MP3. So you have your final file version there, which is loud enough. You've cropped the start and the end of the tracks there, so you're starting and ending at the right point there. The only other three things that you need to actually get your podcast, which it will be published, is first of all hosting. Now I use and recommend Libsyn for audio hosting. So why don't you want to use a regular website host? Well, generally, most hosting plans are set up for optimizing web views. And of course, web pages are maybe only about 100K or 1000K or something like that in size. So it's not a massive file that people are accessing all at once. A podcast was probably something like 50 meg in size. So because of that, it's going to be a different type of hosting that is going to be able to deliver those files. If you have a popular podcast and you expect your regular web hosts to be able to deliver a lot of requests for big files all at once, that's probably going to take your website down. So you don't want that to be happening. So use a specialist audio host. Libsyn starts at about $12 a month. The other thing that you'll need is an RSS feed associated with your podcast. So what that does is it provides a way of people subscribing to your podcast. So I use a plugin on WordPress called PowerPress, and it's fairly easy to use. So just install that. It's free. That will give you a podcast specific RSS feed. So when you publish an episode and get the RSS, get the MP3 file associated with that, then it's no problem at all. You've got your RSS feed. Your MP3 files are associated with your episodes as soon as they're published, and then bang, that's you got your podcast. The only other thing left is to submit it to iTunes and other podcast directories. So that's all you need to do to get an audio podcast up and running. It's not difficult, but it is challenging to get to a reasonable quality and get comfortable with the way you're doing things. So that's why I suggest you start off with an audio podcast, and then when you start to appear on video shows, then you're a bit more comfortable with the sound of your own voice with audio there as well. Step 2 is record an as live audio show. So what do I mean by that? Well, generally when you move on with your podcast, you'll start to have things like intros and outros and perhaps even bumper noises or different sections within it. So I love an app called Boss Jock Studio. And if you listen to this, digitalmarketingradio.com, that's me pressing Boss Jock just now and actually getting some audio into what you're hearing just now. And it's so easy to use. All you do is you upload audio to your Dropbox, and then from Dropbox to Boss Jock Studio, and then it saves on your iPad or whatever device you're actually using Boss Jock on. So it's a lovely device. So I use that so I can record my podcasts as live and have my intros and outros and any other sound effects in there as well. You'll perhaps want to up the game when it comes to recording audio as well. And I love this Zoom H5 digital audio recorder. So I always record audio externally from your computer, from my computer, because if you do that, you're less likely to get any humming noises that you can get with computers. Plus, if the worst case scenario happened and your computer crashed, at least you've got the audio recording and you can carry on from where you're left there. A couple of other things that I'd perhaps recommend considering at this stage: upgrading your microphone. So the microphone that I'm using at the moment is the Electro Voice RE20. I really like it. It's the kind of microphone that a lot of radio stations use. And I've got that goes directly into the Soundcraft Signature mixer. So that's the one that you see up there as well. I like the sound that you get out of that mixer as well. And what I can do is I can take the audio from my iPad, from BossJock, directly into the mixer, as well as my microphone, and mix everything together. And then I can take the final feed from there into my H5, and also, of course, into Google Hangout, what you're hearing there as well. So that's step 2, recording as live. So remember, you're still not recording it with an audience. You're recording it just over Skype again. So if you make mistakes, no big deal. You can edit it afterwards. But this will get you comfortable with recording a podcast episode as oneer. So being comfortable with making the odd mistake and recovering, and just being a little bit more confident with what you do. So I think that's a great second step there. But step number 3 is to start a pre-recorded video show using Google Hangouts. Yes, Google Hangouts still exists, as of course we're using here on Digital Olympus. There was an announcement a couple of months ago that Google Hangouts was going away, but that was a lot of blogs overreacting a little bit. And of course, Google Hangouts is still there to be used, but it's now in YouTube rather than actually associated with Google+. So where do you find that? Well, it's a little bit tough to find. So all you do is you go into YouTube and you click on the live streaming option there. You click on events on the left-hand side. And then after that, you can create your own live event, top right-hand side. Then after you do that, this is the important part. Make sure you select unlisted and then go live. So that way, what you can do is you can actually easily record a video session with someone, but you're not going to have anyone watching at all. So if you muck it up, no problem. Or if you do want to happen to edit the video, then you can do that as well. I would recommend that you probably stay clear of editing video, because it can take a lot of time to do that. So if you completely muck up, you might want to start again. But it's a great way of actually saving your video, because even though it's unlisted, it'll get saved to YouTube. And then once it's rendered and is available on YouTube, which will be about 20 minutes after the Hangout has finished, you can actually download the MP4 from there. Now, if you wanted, you could create a video podcast from that. It's probably not worthwhile doing that, but you can edit the video a little bit. I use a bit of software called Wondershare Filmora for editing video, but be careful about losing too much time doing that. So I wouldn't do that unless absolutely necessary. Now, the last stage that I haven't mentioned yet is sharing the unlisted Hangout with a guest that you want to bring on. And this is a great tip, actually, I picked up from someone. And so once the Hangout's created, you can actually see the URL. And at the very top, if you actually copy and paste everything up to the question mark. After the question mark, it's got different parameters after it. It's not important. So everything up to the question mark, copy it and paste it and email it to whoever you want to participate with you, and they'll easily join using that way. It can be a little bit complicated to invite guests other ways, so that's a quick and easy way to actually ask people to join a Hangout. So that was the most of step 3. But what else do you need if you want to enhance the game? So I'd still recommend using your Zoom H5, but then you can introduce things like your soft-top video lighting. So it's great to have lighting either side of you and ideally on top of you, because that will make you look a little bit more 3D actually, if you have lighting on top of you and either side of you, just to make sure that people see you. And you can look quite dull if you don't have decent lighting in front of you. So it's worthwhile investing £50 to £100 in a lighting kit as well if you're going to be appearing in these kind of shows. And lastly, in terms of pieces of equipment, the Logitech C920 HD webcam is a brilliant webcam. Only costs about £50, same amount in dollars. You can still order that just now. So if you haven't got a decent webcam, just order that one and you won't regret it at all. And in terms of software, I actually use a bit of software called Zencastr. What Zencastr does is it lets me record the person that I'm interviewing, but at their end. So it actually acts in their computer browser. All they have to do is give permission to record their microphone. So it's so easy to get the audio from their end. And then after the recording's finished, it automatically uploads to your Dropbox, and then you can get the audio from there. So if you're interviewing someone over Skype or Google Hangouts, quite often you might have found that the internet connection isn't great and it drops out a little bit. But if you're recording the person you're interviewing's audio at their end directly, then that can give you a much better experience for your end user who's going to listen to your podcast, and they'll certainly thank you for it. If you're going to do that, what you'll need to do in your Zoom H5 recorder is to record you and the person you're interviewing on separate tracks. And then if you do that, then if you get your audio from their end, it's easy enough to replace the audio tracks in your editing bit of software, which is either Audacity, or you could actually use Adobe Audition if you want to move up in terms of quality in audio editing. But let's move on to step 4, which is a live video show. So Facebook Live has happened reasonably recently, but I'm starting to embrace it. I really like Facebook Live, but it hasn't got natively in it at the moment the capabilities to do a lot. You can't do a lot of interviewing and involving other people as part of your video. And vMix is the software that I use to do that. So I bring other people into the recording using vMix. vMix is a brilliant bit of software that shows you what it looks like. So it's quite complicated initially, but actually the effect that you get is really good. So that's a screenshot of a recent podcast that I recorded. So that's me bringing someone in from a Google Hangout, then with an overlay there as well of my name and logo there as well. So it works really effectively, and I haven't had any issues with it not working correctly. So if you're going Facebook Live, vMix is a great way to create an interview with someone. And then finally, step 5, hosting your own online live event. So again, you can use Google Hangouts and landing page software like OptimizePress, or you can use specialist webinar software like Webinar Jam or Easy Webinar, something like that. But for me, last year it was Blab, and unfortunately Blab doesn't exist anymore. So I did a big Christmas special last year in Blab, and that had about 55 guests or something like that on it, and I was really happy with that and the way that Blab worked. But you have to move on and embrace change. And this year it's Facebook Live. So that's a screenshot of the video that I took last year from Blab. So Blab, let me easily have 4 people on the same screen. I could kick people off, and then other people would join. So it was a really, really nice way of doing it. But there's no point in telling you too much about it because, of course, it doesn't exist anymore. So what I'm doing nowadays is I'm setting up an event page on Facebook. And then as a result of that, I'm obviously going to be actually hosting a live Facebook special. So hopefully that's going to be great. And I'm going to tell you about something as a world first here. As well as doing the live event, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be turning it into a book as well, because I think it's so important to try and integrate different marketing activities, be it SEO, different forms of content marketing, but offline marketing as well. So that's a bit of an experiment. I'm going to be launching that as part of the live special that I do on Thursday of this week. So we'll see how that goes. I will let you know how it goes. But hopefully that made a bit of sense there in terms of how you would structure moving from just a pre-recorded audio podcast right through to hosting your own live event, because I generally find that hosting your own live event online is a lot to do. And if you went straight to doing that, then it's a bit of a challenge. There's so many moving parts to it, and you know, you're not necessarily going to get everything right. And going through this 5-step process from, you know, 1 pre-recorded audio, 2 as live audio, 3 pre-recorded video, 4 live video, 5 host your own online event, and try and do something like 20 episodes for each step in the process. So that way you're getting comfortable with it, you're learning as you go along, but you're not trying to do too much at the same time. So if you fancy doing that, hopefully that's tempted you to follow that process and give it a go. So I'm David Bain, head of Inbound at Calibre, and also founder and host of Digital Marketing Radio. And I will zoom out here and say hello face to face again. And if you have any questions at all, I'd be more than happy to take them. So I'm not sure if someone from Digital Olympus is going to jump in here. I'm just having a quick look at Twitter to see if... okay, there's Alex there. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for...
You're too busy having a party and not listening to a word I was saying.
Yeah, my colleagues, you can hear there. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry about that. So
that's okay, Alex. I was just wondering if there's any questions.
We can clean a sound. So, Darren, actually, I have a really quick question. So, as far as you're going to leave us, so tell me, please, how long does it take normally? So you're going to start your own podcast, and then you're just, you know, getting some kind of tangible results, I would say. So how long does it take? Because I understand that it's like, you know, a long-term journey, definitely. So that's like, you know, not something that you just, you know, establish today and then tomorrow you're getting some results.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I guess it depends on how you define results. I mean, nowadays I get thousands of downloads per week, but obviously it's taken me 2 years or so to get to that kind of stage. I launched Digital Marketing Radio in August 2014, and you know, I had a bit of a list, so I told them about that, and some people were interested in checking it out to begin with, and that probably resulted in about 50 regular listeners or something like that when I launched. When you launch it to iTunes, then iTunes will give it a little bit of a boost as well, and people will start discovering it there as well. So short answer is you can maybe start with about 50 listeners or something like that. You have to keep up the consistency on a weekly basis, and don't expect a lot of miracles for the first year or so. You're getting better and more comfortable with what you're doing. You're finding your voice. Hopefully you'll start to reach 1,000 downloads per week after a year, and you know, keep on growing it from there. I guess those are the kind of objectives that are reasonable to have. But it completely depends on your industry and how, you know, what's right for you. Because if you work in an industry that is small and you're quite niche and you're just trying to talk to a small audience, perhaps, you know, having 50 regular listeners is wonderful for you. So it depends.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know that you have to go, so thank you for being with us. And so I think we are ready to move to our next speaker. Thank you one more time. And I want to introduce to you guys Matt. And he's, well, you know, actually, we've already had the pleasure to speak at the same online event with Matt, and I was actually the one that was hosted by David. Yeah, Matt, I'm right?
Yeah, it's all very incestuous. Yeah, so we
just,
Week in Organic, wasn't it? Talking all things search engine.
Yeah, we can organic. You're right. Yeah. I was like, trying to recap the name because David was just, hosting different things. Like, besides that, the one, the digital marketing area, it's like something that he does on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so I think Matt is just, a great addition to our event because he is really into influence marketing and he knows how to engage with influencers in the right way. And so I just, if you if you want, you can go to Matt's company. It's called Influence Agents, and there you can find some actionable training sessions. I'm right, Matt? Yeah. About that, you can find that. Yeah. So guys, you can go there and find his training sessions, and so you can learn more. As far as we have limited time, and Matt is going to cover, I think, some part of this process, because it's like, obviously we can't cover everything, each just, step. So it's going to be more like kind of a strategy that you can definitely use, but if you want to learn more, you should go there. And so today, Matt is going to talk about influencers and how you can kind of connect inbound marketing, influencers, and build a successful strategy.
Yeah.
So Matt, can you share your screen so we can ensure that everything is fine?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining me today. I'm going to full screen this presentation, and so as you'll see, I've called it the 5 pillars of successful inbound marketing. There are bits in this covering a lot of what we call influencer marketing, because more and more, as we'll go through, companies are struggling to reach the right audience without having to pay a fortune to the major networks, via Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads and all of those paid outreach sources. And so I'm going to cover today the traits that I've identified in inbound marketing that really work, and hopefully you'll be able to implement some of these yourself. So what qualifies me to talk about this?
Matt, I'm really sorry. Can you go to a full screen mode?
Yeah.
That's my question. And but otherwise, it looks really good.
That's good feedback, because it was for me.
Yeah, but right now I see just some. It's better, but not really, because I see that's like layouts and something like that.
Slides on the side. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure why that's happening. Let me see if I can change the
maybe
view.
You can switch it to just reloaded.
Okay, and I'm sorry that's on the side there. I'm going to have to see if I can get rid of that another way.
Yeah, if you can't remove it, that's also okay, but just
Hide inspector. There we go.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, apologies for that. So yeah, I said what qualifies me to talk about this? Well, for the last getting on for 6 years now. In fact, it's a little over 6 years. I've been running my own agency called Influence Agents. We are an inbound agency. We specialize in using HubSpot and helping businesses in the B2B sector to generate more leads, to reach more of their target audience, and to convert all of that into real business. And I think I'll be talking a lot today about good tactics and good strategies, but at the end of all of it, the way I think about all of this stuff is, and I don't think enough people talk about this, but it's got to result in more business. I know we talk about ROI, we talk about these buzzwords around metrics and outcomes, but a lot of people are giving some good best practice stuff, but I'd like to root everything in actual actionable stuff that gets results. So I hope that comes across in the course of the next 20 minutes or so. So the first pillar of successful inbound marketing is if he could hit play and go to the next slide. Are you seeing me coming through here, Alex, to the next slide? I think Alex has left us. Let me, so I'll just go through this.
I'm sorry, I just muted myself.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not actually moving. So it's just, you know, can you try it one more time?
Yeah, what are you seeing on screen now? You're seeing the people slide?
Yeah, people slide, that should be, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so the first pillar of successful inbound marketing is people. And that is essentially a few different ways to look at people within this whole relationship of inbound marketing. Now, there are actually three people to have a look at when you're considering what you're doing. You've got your team. So you've got to surround yourself with the right skills, the right skill sets. And there are some core skills I'm going to talk to you about that you'll want to introduce into your business as quickly as possible in order to make a real successful fist of things. The second person in this whole relationship is you. As a business, as an individual brand, the key is to communicate what you're about, who you are, your mission, and all of those things that people can really buy into. So we'll talk about that very briefly. And the third, of course, is your buyer. And there are too many companies out there that are trying to be too many things to too many people. So I'm going to talk about how you can be a bit more focused in your approach to identifying who your buyer is, and then in terms of reaching them. So these are the skills. First of all, the team that you want to surround yourself with. And actually, you know, if you sit down and look at all the skills that you could involve in an inbound marketing effort, it could get very overwhelming very quickly. There are a few disciplines that you might argue should be in this mix, like SEO experts and analytics experts. The reality is, I think this is a good base team to surround yourself with. If you're currently just experimenting with inbound marketing and content marketing in general, or if you feel that you should be getting more traction, it could be because you haven't got this core set of skills in your stable. So first off, you'll need a copywriter. Now, a lot of very successful salespeople would admit that everything that they've ever sold has been as a result of something they wrote. It's not that textual content is the only type of content, the only format that you can use. But even if you're creating video, for example, you'll want to make sure that you've got the right script, that you've got the right other elements to it, you know, the description, the copy, that obviously video optimization is a big thing. Copywriters can help you to formulate the right stories, and storytelling is one of the most effective ways to create compelling content, of course. So that's the first person I would start about recruiting. A good designer. It could be a graphic designer. They could have digital skills, but critically, you'll want somebody who can represent your brand in a really visual and consistent way as well. Now, the designers we've used, you know, by default, they'll be experts in Adobe products and things like that, and really have an eye for everything from, you know, ebooks and white papers that you might be creating, to slide decks that you can use on SlideShare, to, of course, you know, web pages themselves, landing page templates and the like as well. They could be creating, you know, good PSD files to be converted into web pages. And then, of course, when you're doing that, you'll need a good developer. A lot of the more interactive and effective lead generation strategies are actually built around really immersive aspects of the web. So it's not always about downloading an ebook or a PDF. It's increasingly it's about having an experience on the website. It could be an evaluation tool or a survey. It could be something like a game, you know, introducing gamification into lead generation. There are some really inventive and creative methods being used. And then lastly, you'll want a marketer. And I mean, this could be you. It's somebody who has a real understanding of the business, has a real understanding of the desired outcomes, has the ability to measure the effectiveness of what's going on, and also, of course, before all of that, to baseline where you're at right now, to assess whether it's realistic to set the goals that you have. So those are the kind of core skills that I would recommend that you go about recruiting as soon as you can. I just want to give a shout out to a guy called Russell Brunson, who you may have come across. And he wrote the book .com Secrets. He deals in funnels. He wrote a tool that allows you to create funnels called ClickFunnels. And in his book .com Secrets, he talks about the attractive character. Now this is all about you. So we've taken a look at your team. This is about the brand of the person or the company that you're looking to promote. So there are, elements of the backstory or stories about the character themselves, character flaws. It's all built around the concept that the buyer has to really buy into you as a person, has to kind of believe the story, has to believe that there's empathy and understanding of where they're at. And that could be rooted in the fact that you were in their situation. It could be rooted in the fact that you're credible in other ways, that you've spent several years working with people in that situation, for example. And he talks also about, the identity that you want to portray. One of the real popular ones is number 4 there, the reluctant hero, who, just happened upon a solution to a problem and then was obviously very much in demand as a result. And so I'd recommend anybody to take a look at .com Secrets. I think you can still get it from Russell direct and just pay the postage and packing, but it's one of the best digital marketing books you'll get, I guarantee it, and really good for understanding who you are as a business. So next is the buyer. Of course, understanding the buyer is perhaps the most important part, but also I want to get a few of you past this feeling that perhaps you want to cast your net wide and provide your services or sell your products to a large audience. And whilst that might be the case, it's very important to be able to speak to people on a personal level. And therefore, it's not really about saying, I have a product, I have a solution to a problem, who wants it? It's about really understanding a particular type of buyer. So, for example, rather than saying, you're an accountant, for example, and you can save people tax, it'd be much more powerful, and you'll get much more buy-in if you're able to say, we specialize in saving marketing agencies, 25% on their tax outgoings on an annual basis. Then you're coming across as a bit of a specialist. Then you're looking at sector-specific services and buy-in, and you're seen with a bit more credibility and a bit more expertise because you're that focused individual. And then, of course, you can repeat that process and you can create content, you can create campaigns that speak to a different persona, still in a much more targeted way. Rather than marketing agencies this time, you could realize that you've got some specific solutions for the pharmaceutical industry, for example, and start creating content around that. So it's not that you have to do this at the exclusion of all these other people that you could be helping forever. It's just it's a gradual process that you can go through, building out from this area of specialism. And as we know, specialists charge a lot more than generalists, so you'll be able to up your prices. So that's good. Okay, so the next pillar of successful inbound marketing is technology. Now, a lot of people start with this. They'll go out and buy themselves the technology and then try and fit their marketing around it. I really would encourage you to, as much as possible, consider the outcomes and the purpose and the process that you want to go through, and then go out and get the systems instead. So there are four core pieces of technology that can sit and should sit at the heart of a successful inbound strategy. First is your content management system, and yes, the content management system is required for a website. But actually, there's two real core purposes when it comes to inbound marketing, as far as I can see right now. The first is for blogging, and obviously the most popular CMS and most popular blogging platform is one and the same. It's WordPress. And why should you blog? Well, the reality is that blogging is and remains and has been for some time the most powerful tool for generating more traffic to your website in a very targeted way. The purpose of a blog for me is about answering questions. So if you understand that buyer, again, you understand their pains, and you create blog posts and articles that answer their most common and painful questions, then you become the go-to source. And of course, whether you're sourcing traffic to your blog from organic social media, whether you're ranking in the search engines for search referred traffic, or whether you start to use influencer marketing to reach out and even perhaps create blog content to go on other sites that obviously link back to yours. The power of a blog cannot be underestimated. And of course, the other reason to have a CMS is you can create landing pages and create the mechanism to generate leads as well. So you can be building your email list, you can be starting nurturing programs with leads and moving them towards readiness to buy from you as well. So again, it's about thinking about the outcome, the desired outcome. So the next piece of technology that I recommend, and you're probably already using this, let's face it, is email marketing technology. A lot of you might be using MailChimp or similar. And actually, it does take a lot of beating, I have to say, especially for a small business. The important thing here is to have at least access to an element of automation. Because when you're running really intricate campaigns and you want to follow up with leads in a consistent way so that people aren't falling out of your funnel like a leaky bucket, you want to make sure that your workflows are taking the strain. Now, there's a fine balance here because you want automation, so it takes the strain, but you don't want it to feel impersonal. So you really want to, the way to retain that balance or regain that balance is really think about the kinds of emails that you would want to receive and what makes you think they're coming from a real person rather than a machine. So, I mean, take a look through your own inbox. That would be my recommendation. Look at the ones that feel good, that make you feel good, that make you feel that they speak to you. And what is it about them? Try and recognize some of the traits. For example, I mean, one of the real basic things is, if you think about marketing automation and email automation tools, don't go with a snazzy template that makes it look like a newsletter that has your logo banner across the top or any of that. That doesn't look personal to me. I think the more it can look like it's come from somebody's desk, that it's come from their own personal account by their own hand, the better. Even to go as far as putting an email signature at the bottom, as you would if you'd just crafted it yourself. So email automation, marketing automation tools are a good thing for you to invest in. The third one is analytics. And I'm guessing that the vast majority of listeners right now are using Google Analytics. And again, that's perfectly good. Really, the important thing here is that you are gathering insights about the visitors on your site. And as much as possible, you're acting upon them. So, I mean, one of the real basic things that I know Google talk a lot about is keeping an eye on your bounce rates, for example, which pages are responsible for people leaving your website. Now, some pages, you have to accept a high bounce rate. Actually, sometimes the intent is for them to bounce. If they arrive at your contact page, for example, hopefully they're going to contact you and then they probably won't navigate anywhere else. So it's acceptable to have a high bounce rate there. But keep an eye on other metrics, time on site, the number of number of site pages visited, and also trends in terms of visitation. But one thing I would say when you do look at your analytics is don't be too disheartened about the volume of traffic you may or may not be getting. Because if it were ever true anywhere, it's with your site visitors, is that the quality really is much, much more important than the quantity. You can do a hell of a lot with 1,000 visitors per month in a B2B business, for example, if you've got a high lifetime value of client, because you don't need to convert too many of them to really make a big difference to your bottom line. So make sure you've got analytics, make sure that you're gathering the right insights, and make that an ongoing task as well. And the last bit of technology is a CRM system. And again, this is about plugging those holes in the bucket, making sure that you're following up, making sure you know where people are in the sales process. So when you've done your inbound marketing bit and you've qualified leads to the right stage, make sure that you've got a CRM available to make sure that you follow up with them and track them all the way through to the deal as well. Now, obviously, there are tools out there like HubSpot, for example, that pull all of these tools together and put them in, under one roof, if you like, and allow you to use them all in one place. There are other products on the market as well, like Marketo, and Infusionsoft is a lower cost tool. And there's even the likes of Active Campaign, which give you a lot of this technology at a much, much lower price point as well. Whatever you use, it's all about the process, and it's all about making sure that your marketing is working for you. So the third pillar I want to talk about is the customer journey, because actually taking someone from not knowing who you are to a sale is clearly not a one-step journey. People have to go through a certain process before they've got the right level of trust with you and actually are ready for sales. So I'm not going to consider this in any great length, because we could spend the next half an hour talking about this, and we haven't got that much time. But you'll get access to the slides after this. So they're available on SlideShare. But this really shows the journey that a lot of our customers go through in terms of the journey to buying from us as an agency. So again, we're using blogging at the top there to answer questions. We're providing premium content and then email nurturing as well to build trust and to address common sales questions and objections, and eventually get them qualified and ready for the sale. And so do take a look at this when the slides become available for you a bit later. More about the customer journey is progressive profiling, because you want to make sure that at every stage of the journey you're learning more and more about the prospect. So progressive profiling is actually where, you know, on a basic lead generation form, you're probably asking the least amount of information possible, because as we know, it's difficult to get people to part with their email address sometimes even. So, you know, keep it simple. There's an example there: first name, last name, email and company. I would suggest, you know, even just first name and email would be a really great start in terms of building your list and having the ability to personalize your follow-up emails to hail people by name. And then if they are returning leads, then, you know, depending on the technology you use, it will pre-populate some of the fields, so that they only have to give you maybe 2 more fields of information. So at that third step there, you know, you might be asking for their job title and phone number on top of what you already know. And then at the bottom, you know, the last possible step, you want to get all the information you need in order to make the sale. So what I would say to you, my piece of information here is, I mean, if you're an organization that has a sales team or has a sales representative, that might be you. Think about the amount of information you need in order to almost guarantee the sale. It could be that you need to know their budget. It could be that you need to know their company size so that you can assess their fit for the kind of product that you offer. It could be that the geographical location is imperative because you only serve local business. Whatever it is, make sure that you start with that sales information and then work your way back to that very light touch first interaction where you might just be getting their email address. So the fourth pillar is content itself. You can't have an inbound marketing effort without content. And this is the journey that HubSpot prescribes that you go through. And there's, again, when you get the slides, you'll see at the bottom here, we talk about the formats of content that will serve you at that stage of the journey, from going from attracting strangers onto your website to then converting them, closing them, and that often missed last step of delighting them. So once they're a customer, you don't stop serving them great content, you keep serving them great content, so they're more likely to refer you. So take a look at the kinds of formats and content that you need in order to make your inbound efforts work better. The idea here is, I'll put this slide in especially because too many people are creating content that people just aren't interested in. And they will put their fingers in their ears and you know, start making noise and close their eyes because you haven't compelled them enough. So don't create content for content's sake. We all know the internet is full of content, and it doesn't need any more content for content's sake. It needs real, valuable pieces. Google knows this, and SEO has changed a great deal recently, and not just in algorithmic terms, but the way that people search. And you will be rewarded by creating standout content that gets shared, that provides, you know, a sequence, a journey, that provides really great information. So don't underestimate the power of investing a great deal in a real core piece of content that can serve you for a very, very long time. And I'll just mention BuzzSumo, which is a great tool, which a lot of you I know will have come across already, for identifying what type of content, what topics are being shared, that are going far and wide, that are turning viral, if you like. And that can be a real assistance also in identifying those influencers that can help you get on to the next level. And so the last pillar I want to talk about in the very short space of time I've got left is reach. And obviously this is the bit that a lot of companies are still lacking in. So, you know, really focus on growing your email database, focus on your SEO status. SEO, as I've just said, is still a hugely important part of your traffic generation tactics and should be a part of your inbound marketing for sure. Organic social, so, you know, building your audience via social platforms that serve your business. And don't just think it's all about Twitter and LinkedIn because you might be a B2B business. Don't just think that it's Facebook because you're a B2C business. Think about ways that you can attract an audience, because the fact is, even the business people hang out on Facebook. So think about the intent and think about the source. And then, of course, you've got your paid search and paid social as well. Not to be underestimated because of the targeting that you can get specifically with the likes of Facebook advertising, for example. And the idea here is that over time you stop renting traffic by paying for it and you do own it. So do think about ways to generate leads, to grow your own list from what you're paying for. And this is what I say, rent once and capture forever. So make sure that if you are using things like Bing ads and AdWords and Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Twitter for Business, make sure that when you are paying for that traffic, that there is a very obvious and very compelling mechanism to get people to opt into your database so that you don't have to pay for that person again. I see countless people who are sending traffic to landing pages that have no real call to action, that have no form submission, and they're paying over and over again to get the same visitor back to their site. So really try and focus on that intent of renting once and then capturing everyone for the longer term. And then influencer marketing, again, use tools like BuzzSumo to identify those that have reach, who already command the ear of the people that you're trying to reach. Because, you know, why build your own community when somebody else has one that is ripe for your services? And of course, that influencer would preferably be non-compete with what you do. And hopefully there's a great deal of those people out there. And a great way to first touch base with them is offer them content, play to their ego. I've met very few influencers who don't love to hear how great their content is and their business is and how you'd love to work with them. And you'd be very surprised how easy it is to get influencers to collaborate with you in a really meaningful and powerful way. I don't like to present without putting a challenge out there. So I'm gonna ask you to take a look at these 5 pillars. Alex and the guys at Digital Olympus are going to obviously share the slides here. Go through those 5 pillars and score yourself on how good you think you are in those areas, and set yourself some actions perhaps for the new year to recruit into your team, to put some focus on your brand and how your audience is perceiving yourself, into niching into particular buyer personas, and then think about how technology can serve you. What's your customer journey looking like? And then, of course, you know, focus on your content. Is it actually attracting the right kinds of people? And then, of course, you know, pull it all together and make sure that it's all singing and working for you in a really, really meaningful way. And I wish you all the very best with it. Thanks for listening to me. I'm sure Alex is going to jump in again now, but if anybody does have any questions for me, wants to reach me, just find us at influenceagents.com, or I'm on Twitter, Matt_Hodkinson. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
Matt, thank you very much for your presentation. It was really great. And so I have actually a question from Mike Brand, and he's asking, so here's his story. We have used HubSpot and Page One Power, that's an agency, for 2 years now. And so we found that the CRM might be better suited to B2C instead of B2B. Any workaround suggestions for making one content as a customer? I think you're familiar with it because I'm not like, particularly getting, so it's something like, they're inside kind of a structure of a tool.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the HubSpot CRM is, I think is really good for B2C businesses because there's, it's a free tool. There's no limit on the number of contacts that you can have in there. So it really is quite powerful. In terms of creating content at scale for a B2C audience, I can't give you one tip that is better than this, and that is to co-create content with your audience. I think the term user-generated content is a very, very old one now. But co-created content is something that a lot of businesses seem to have forgotten. So I would recommend you reach out to perhaps the most influential consumers that you can reach out to, because everybody has a certain level of influence. Those that have got their own YouTube channels perhaps, and blogs, and very active Twitter profiles, and co-create content with them, ask them to help out, and you'll soon reach a much, much larger audience doing it that way.
Yeah, I think you might misheard me. The question was about contact, not content, as a customer. So they
Context.
Yeah, context. Yeah, right. That's it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Context is king rather than content. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to B2C, I guess as I said in my talk, it's really about understanding who the consumer is and what their specific needs are, and how you can help them. It's not about saying, I want to sell this product. How can I really mold that to the needs of this audience? It's about really understanding what they need and understanding whether your product is the solution, because if it's not, you will never sell it to them. So yeah, context is incredibly key. And I think I'd still go back to the co-creation recommendation, because to get that understanding, you would do well to, I wouldn't recommend focus groups because it's too focused, it doesn't work. But suggest looking at social monitoring, look at conversations around your industry to get a better understanding of what that context needs to be, and then co-create content that really speaks to that particular context.
Okay, awesome. And the last one question, what's a good example of co-created content? Well, I'm sure you have a wide majority of those.
Yeah, I guess some of the best co-created content I've seen, there was a co-created platform that Starbucks put together called My Starbucks Idea. And I cite this at a lot of my talks because they built a platform with their customers where they could suggest ideas for the experience of buying from Starbucks. Everything from the decor inside the cafes to the types of coffee that they bought. They made suggestions around particular seasonal drinks that then got added to the main menu, so they could buy them at any time of the year. And so it was all about voting up and down ideas, suggesting new ideas, discussing them. And Starbucks got a massive understanding of their audience and actually, used that feedback to better their product. And it's been a huge, huge success. So I would think, that's quite an extreme example. It could just be a case of co-creating blog content. And, a lot of small businesses would do well to interview customers, to interview influencers, industry names, and those kinds of things in this kind of format on Google Hangouts or Skype. Just record it and create content that way.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your really extended answers where you're just, putting as much details as you could. And thank you very much for your awesome presentation. Love it.
No problem.
So hope to see you in our next editions, and we are going to share all slides and videos shortly. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And so we are moving to our very last but not least at all speaker. And actually, I've made a really, can you hear me, Darren? Can we hear you? Just, okay, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you. Actually, I've delivered a quick research, and so you can hear Darren at the upcoming Moscone local edition. And so he's going to talk, I believe, about local listings, whatever it is, which is like, a really hot topic. And today he's going to touch the same kind of one of his researchers, as I understood. So he's going to talk about, and it's like, what I need to mention really, that it's really close to his tool that is called WhiteSpark, and where you can track your local domain. So if you guys have any local domains, you should go and take a look at Darren's tool. I definitely recommend it. And so he's going to talk about how to build a community, and he's going to talk about how, I'm sorry, I need to take a look in order not to screw it, because it was like, yeah, it's like, it was sounded so good. Okay, so that's it, how proximity affects local search results. Could you please, Darren, share your screen so we can be sure? Thank you.
Let's get this open. Hopefully this works.
Not, yeah, that's it. Awesome. Just don't forget to switch to, full screen. That's it.
Did it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about some research I've been doing on proximity, how proximity affects local search results. So let's have a look-see here. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but what I've noticed lately, and I saw actually Casey Mraz did a post about it, where you're like, why are these businesses ranking? It doesn't make any sense. You look at them, they don't have much going on. You're like, why these businesses? Here's a great example. So if I run the search for plumbers, I can see these three businesses. We got DollarWise, Fast Service, and Mayfair Plumbing. These are the three that are ranking number 1, 2, and 3 on the local pack. This is prime real estate on Google. So let's look at their metrics. Is the listing claimed? All three cases, no, they haven't even claimed a Google listing. The number 1 ranking business has no website. The number 2 ranking business has some decent content on their website, so not too bad. The number 3 business doesn't have a website either. So in terms of how many links they have, well, DollarWise has 0 links. They don't have a website. You can't link to something that doesn't exist. Mayfair also has no website. Citations, those look pretty standard across the board. Nothing really outstanding there. And none of them have reviews. So 2 of the top ranked businesses haven't even claimed their Google listing, and they don't even have websites. Why, Google, are those rankings? So surely there must be more prominent businesses in Edmonton that deserve to rank for this term. So let's add proximity to the metrics and see if this is proximity to me, my search location. So DollarWise is 600 meters away. Fast Service is 800 meters away, and this Mayfair is 2.1 kilometers away. I could basically walk to any of these businesses. So that little purple star is where Google sets my location, and then those are the 3 businesses. You see how they're so clustered and close to me? So is this just me? Is this just some kind of personalization that's happening? Fortunately, at WhiteSpark, we have employees distributed across the whole city. So Brianna is on the north end. I'm sort of west central. Jesse is south central, and Nick is pretty deep south. So because of that, I was able to get everybody to run a bunch of queries, save screenshots. We did all of that in incognito browsers, all using Chrome, so we could compare results and see what each person's results look like. So if you're curious, how do you determine your location on Google? These are the steps. You just, in an incognito browser, go to maps.google.com, search for any business in your city, some prominent business, and then click the directions button. Then in the from field, put in my location, the actual words, my space location, and press get directions. And then Google will put a dot on where it thinks your location is. And you can use that to get a sense of where you are located. So let's take a look at Brianna's results here for plumbers. So when Brianna searches plumbers, she gets those 3 businesses clustered on the top left. When I search plumbers, those are the ones we already looked at, I get the 3 clustered right around where Google says my location. And this is interesting. This first star next to the Edmonton is my actual location, but Google thought my location was there, and that's what I figured out by doing that little maps trick. So Google thought my location was further to the left than where I actually am, and so that's, I think, why I got results clustered around that spot. I'm pretty sure, makes sense. So Jessie, her plumber results are right. These are the 3 people that ranked. And these are where they are located in the city. I did all of this with my maps, so I made my maps for all of this and just mapped the business locations. Nick's are, there's one of them that is basically right next door to him, I think, because if you see at the bottom there, he's got one right there, and then the other 2 are sort of clustered up in a business district a little bit higher. So let's look at the term coffee shops. Brianna's coffee shops are sort of on the top left there. My coffee shops, Jessie's coffee shops, Nick's coffee shop. You can see that. See how the results are so clustered next to the person that's doing the searching? Lawyers, Brianna's, mine, Jessie's. Look how close and clustered those ones are. And Nick's. Again, Nick's lawyers are close and clustered there. So are geo-modified terms less affected by proximity to searcher? So this is where you actually add the word Edmonton to the term. So before we were just searching plumbers, now we're searching plumbers Edmonton. So these are Brianna's plumbers. She gets them in that area. These are my plumbers. Interestingly, when I add the word Edmonton, for some reason they're further from the Edmonton city center and clustered more, a little further away from my location. I don't know what's up with that. Jessie's plumbers Edmonton. She looks like she's pulling one more centralized. Nick's plumbers Edmonton, clustered together up there. Brianna coffee shops Edmonton. This is interesting. So her coffee shops before were clustered around her. Now they're clustered closer to the downtown core. Mine are pretty close to me, except for one outlier, which is Coffee Bureau, which is right from the center of Edmonton. Jessie coffee shops Edmonton. She's also pulling Coffee Bureau in, which I think is probably smack dab on where the Edmonton centroid is. Nick coffee shops Edmonton. His are still pretty located close to him. He's not pulling anything from the center there. How about lawyers Edmonton? Brianna's, mine, Jessie's, Nick's. So basically, it looks like proximity is still drastically influencing results for geo-modified terms. So the differences that we see are likely due to, relevancy. You might be relevant for the term plumbers, but let's say you have more anchor text that has Edmonton plumbers, or you have more content that mentions the word Edmonton. So I really feel like the prime factor there is relevancy that's driving some of the differences that we're seeing between geo-modified and non-geo-modified results. So my current theory, based on this research, is that proximity to the searcher appears to be the #1 dominant local ranking factor in local pack results today. Before it would have been, citation consistency or title tags. I really feel like this proximity is what's driving the local pack rankings more than links, more than content, more than citations, more than reviews. This proximity is the big thing that's determining what businesses are ranking in the local pack. And it's proximity to the searcher, not just proximity to the city centroid. Now, how does this affect the local organic results? Are they also affected by proximity to the searcher? So the localized organic results are the blue links that you'll see underneath the local packs, and the localized organic results are businesses that are local to the city that are pulled into the organic results. So let's look at Brianna's results for plumbers. So in the #2 position, we have Pro Plumbing. #5, we have United. #6, Easy Plumbing. #7, Capital. #8 is Best. So those are her localized organic results from her location. These are mine. They're basically the exact same. The only thing is that Best and Capital have swapped positions. These are Jessie's. She has the exact same results as me. And these are Nick's. They're similar. Capital somehow jumped up, and Easy must be further down the page a little bit. So there's a little bit of shifting going on. That could almost be time of day, really. You know, we did try to run all these searches at the same time, but you know, there could have been some differences in the timing. So let's look if we geo-modify the term. So if you go Edmonton plumbers, we've got pro, best, butler, capital, and action. That's with Brianna's. My search results show pro, best, butler, capital, and action. Jesse's results for this term, Edmonton plumbers, pro, best, butler, capital, and action. And Nick's, almost the exact same. It's just best has moved from number 4 spot to number 3 spot. So, couple lawyers. And it's got Heritage Law at the number 4 position, and then this other law firm is popping up there. Me, I have Heritage at number 7. Jesse has Heritage at number 7. And Nick had Heritage at number 7. So really what we're seeing are just a few minor differences in the localized organic results. It's almost to be expected. But generally, I would say that localized organic results are pretty consistent no matter where you are in the city or no matter where you're searching from. So here are a few observations from this research. This is a bit of new thinking. The current number 1 local search ranking factor from the last local search ranking factor survey that was done was physical address in city of it was searched, right? So that appears to not be the case anymore, because if we see Brianna, she's now pulling results from St. Albert. In the new local packs, proximity to searcher isn't really so affected by the city you're in. It's really the radius around the searcher, because these plumbers and these coffee shops are actually in St. Albert, but Brianna's close enough to them that they're getting pulled in. This does not appear to be the same for a geo-modified term. If you add the word Edmonton, so plumbers Edmonton, coffee shops Edmonton, then the results do seem to be forced to only be within the city of search. Results are sometimes clustering together, even though we know that there might be closer results to the searcher. So in this case, you know, Nick for plumbers Edmonton, we know he's got a plumber that's right next door to him from when you just ran the search plumbers. But if you type in plumbers Edmonton, you get this cluster here. So we're seeing this clustering effect, which, you know, this cluster isn't close to the city center. It's just a cluster of businesses that are close to each other. And we see the same thing with my plumbers Edmonton results. It seems that Google would rather show a smaller pack than a 3-pack with a business that's too far away. So for example, I ran this search. This is for teaching supplies. And it only gave me a 2-pack. But I know there are at least 5 other businesses in Edmonton that match the search term, but it's not showing them to me. And I think it's not showing them to me because they're too far away. They're deep on the south side or on the east side or whatever. And so I'm only getting the ones that are close to me. So I think that's kind of an interesting observation. I'd like to find more examples of that. So here's the question. Why would Google do this? These results are so crappy. Like, I don't care if the business is next door to me. I'm looking for the best plumber. That best plumber could be on the totally different side of the city. I'm looking for the best results, and Google is now shooting themselves in the foot a little bit with this by having these poor results. You know, I'm going to start turning to Yelp or to TripAdvisor or to some other source to find the best businesses, because the local pack results are not giving me the best businesses. They're only giving me the closest businesses. But there's a good answer for why Google's doing this. It's obviously to sell more ads, and I can think of 3 ways that they're doing that. First, if you can't get into local pack rankings, well, what are you going to do? Well, you could pay for sponsored pack placement. This is coming quicker than we might expect, but these paid packs are a thing. Right now, they're running a test in San Diego for plumbers and locksmiths. So this is how it appears. You get, like, if you type in San Diego plumbers, you can see the sponsored pack up here, and then the regular local pack is down here. So this is a way you can pay to get into local pack results. Also in San Francisco, they're running these this home services thing. So you can find these sponsor packs for plumbers in San Francisco. So Google is testing this. I feel like it's coming. It's a massive revenue channel for them that you would expect them to capitalize on. And so if the regular local pack results are not doing it for you, you're not getting any traffic from those, well, hey, you want traffic from Google, you can pay to get into the sponsor packs. I see that happening in the not too distant future. There used to be one pack per city. Now there are thousands. Every single zip code or postal code has its own local pack. And so what that means is that there's way more ad inventory and targeting refinements. So Google can now sell ads in thousands and thousands of places instead of just one local pack for Edmonton plumbers. And also as a advertiser, I can choose like which zip codes I want my ads to appear in. So it makes a lot of sense for Google to be able to divvy that up. Another way is, if the local pack results aren't doing it for you, you're not finding the businesses you're interested in. They have no reviews. It's not helpful for me. They don't even have websites. So I'm going to click more places, and oh look, here's another place that Google can present ads to me. So lots of ways that Google can use this to drive more revenue from local search. So here are some takeaways, some things to think about. Local rank tracking. What is that? If you're tracking local rankings, where does the software set the location to? It can't give you rankings for every single zip code in the city. So it really just geolocates to the city centroid. And so whatever you're getting out of your local rank tracking, I certainly think there's still value in doing it, but just understand that it can't possibly match up. Like, so if your client or your business is, checking their rankings against the local rank tracker results, it's pretty likely you're going to see different results. And that is because of the location that is set. Local organic rankings are still an excellent source of traffic. So, while your local strategy might be, it still is what it is. You still want to invest your time and effort into, citation work, link work, content. That all has benefits beyond just local pack rankings. It benefits your business, and it will help you rank within the particular area that you can sort of, the radius that you can attract business from. So you still want to keep focusing on that. But the local organic rankings, you can rank all over the whole city. So investing in content and links is a big move. You definitely want to spend some time on local organic so that you are one of those businesses on the first page. You also want to diversify your local optimization efforts beyond Google. So look at Facebook, look at LinkedIn, look at Yelp, TripAdvisor, Yellow Pages. Any business listing site that's on the first page of Google's organic results, you should make sure that your listing on that site is optimized, you're getting reviews to that listing, and you are helping that listing to rank well within that site. Because a lot of people, let's say the local pack results are crap, they will click the Yelp's 10 best plumbers list, and they'll look at that. You want to be on that list. That will help you to drive a lot of business. I had a client that was a moving company, and they drove so much traffic from being #1 on that Yelp's 10 best movers, and they weren't ranking in Google before we started, but it was huge. So you definitely want to focus a lot on that. I'm also working on some future research with this, so this is just sort of an initial pass and initial discovery of what's happening around this. But the next steps for me are, why is Second Cup ranking so much better than Starbucks? That's an interesting question that came up, because I noticed that Starbucks didn't rank for any of those coffee terms, but Second Cup was quite prevalent in everybody's search results. So why is that? It could be the Canadian factor. I think Second Cup's a Canadian company, and Starbucks is an international brand. So I don't know, maybe they're favoring locally companies a little bit more. So that's interesting to me. I want to look into that a bit deeper. I want to collect distance data for hundreds of results and calculate the averages for categories and pack types. So, what is the average distance from the searcher for, let's say, a plumber versus accountants versus coffee shops? Based on the available inventory, does the radius get tighter? Because, we have more businesses that are closer to you, so you're going to see a tighter radius. So I'd love to gather that data And then the different pack types, like, restaurants have a different pack type. We call that the snack pack versus just a regular local pack for dentists or plumbers. So I want to compare all that data and see what the average distance is that you can attract business for. While I gather that data, I'm going to find interesting outliers where you have this one business that's ranking really great, but they're 15 kilometers away. When I see that, I want to study what is it about that particular business and understand why they're ranking and what are those factors. And I also want to then run searches around that business's area to see all the different places that they're ranking. So those outliers will be really great to study and help businesses understand what they can do to attract from a wider radius. And I also want to investigate terms with low inventory. So, for example, taxidermy. So, there's only 5 taxidermists in the city, so it's going to have to pull them all. And what are some interesting things around that in categories like that? So that's about all I have for now. Continuing to look at this, I'm excited about the research. I think it's very interesting, and I'll keep investigating this and publishing more about it. So thanks very much. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Darren. It was really insightful. And actually, I have a question because I was just, following your presentation, and
yes.
so here is kind of my just deliverable from that there is if there is any chance to rank for local or small business in local organic results, not like in local packs, because what you've shown so far, as well as we've delivered a big research, like when we were analyzing 10,000 local search queries in different cities, we found that there's it's all those local organic results, they're occupied by global domains, and they are really stable, as what's it's kind of following what you've shown so far. What's your expert opinion on that?
There's lots of opportunity in local organic, and we saw that with both plumbers and lawyers, where you have plumbers with really strong domains ranking well. And it really depends on it depends on the industry. Like, it was a lot less with coffee shops. Coffee shops don't really have much local organic presence, but that also makes sense given the nature of the business. You don't really have coffee shops with that are working a lot on their website and content, links. And so in some industries, there's lots of opportunity, and Google makes sure that it injects a few local businesses into the organic results. And so I feel like that's a great angle that you can focus on these days.
Yeah, but I think, for instance, in legal niche, it's also kind of really hard to get any rankings in local organic results, as I understood, talking with guys from that industry that are working particularly working with that niche. Do you think the same?
Yeah, it's still a lot of work. It's not like a shoe-in. You've got to have the best website with the best content, and you have to have links from high authority domains. And so it's not an easy task for the average local business. So any mom and pop shop, well, the other option, of course, as Google would be happy to hear, is you pay for sponsored pack placement or pay for Google AdWords.
Yeah, for sure. And just following your ideas about ranking in Google local packs without having a website, just having a lot of positive reviews, and just just putting, if you are just a business owner who's doing that, like a plumber, for instance, and you don't have any employees, you're just who's presenting that business, you can just list your contact details in on some particular websites and appear in just also in Google organic results. But still, do you need a website if you can just reach that kind of visibility by using some other strategies? So that's the question, is bothering me each time, because sometimes as a user I want to click on a website just because I have some kind of an experience, but from other point of view, just reviews are fair enough in order to make a decision.
Well, I think that's it, right? So when I looked at plumbers, I might have seen DollarWise and Mayfair. They don't have websites, they don't have any reviews. I'm never going to call them. So even though they're ranking, that's not enough for me. So it's very important. Yes, you've got to have a website. You've got to be working on a review program, because while you may be able to rank in your very tight immediate area, you're certainly not going to attract any business from that unless you can prove to the customer, the prospect, that you're a business that they want to call up. So you need the website to make that convincing case, and you certainly need the reviews to help as well. So yeah, you definitely still need to keep working hard on your local search strategies, because although the radius that you can rank in is smaller, when you do get in, you certainly want to close the deal.
Oh yeah, I see. So the current, decision-making process of a potential client that are searching in Google local results in order to find someone who's going to fix this or that, it's also involves, the decision process also involves checking a website, yes?
Absolutely. I certainly wouldn't hire a plumber without checking out their website. You want to check out their website, but this is also where the benefit of being on those top 10 lists, Yelp's best plumbers, that is huge too, right? So when you get ranked there,
yeah, definitely.
The only way to get in there is to actually get reviews on Yelp. So your local search strategy is not just what can I do to rank on Google. It's all encompassing. You've got to be hitting all these other areas.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Darren. And that was a great presentation, a lot of awesome insights, something to consider as well. I love your ideas, your approach. And so and it will be really interesting if you can scale your research and just, show a wider range of data. So it can be more kind of ready to use approach, I would say, because when you have it for a particular city, yes, you can apply it to other cities, but ideally it will be great to see it for states or something like that. Then that will be really great one, just kind of an actionable content that you can just take and implement, because it works for a wide range of different SERPs, I would say.
For sure, and I'm getting there. We've already got a lot of the data collected, and I'm continuing to work on that. And so I'll be publishing more about it. It's interesting.
Okay, so guys, you need to follow Darren, because he's going to launch more interesting projects, and he's going to share more interesting insights that are based on real data. And I think that's the main point here, and that's the main insight from that. So thank you very much, Darren. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. And we are going to share our videos shortly. So, and if you haven't yet subscribed to our digital marketing kit, you should do that, because we are going to have also White Spark among our special offers. And you can just, grab Darren's tool with a decent discount. So you can just, try it and just make your local results as awesome as you could. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much, Darren, one more time.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Have a lovely day.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.